Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, The Mindful Hairdresser. Today I'm going to be sharing with you one of my favourite haircuts, which is a long mullet. I have the fabulous Amy here, who's volunteered to be my model today. I've known Amy for quite a while, she's modelled for me quite a lot, and she trusts me on this haircut, and it's going to be quite a big change. So I'm going to be using my scissors and my comb, the normal scissors, but I'm also going to be introducing my feather blade as well to do the whole haircut. And I'm going to break it down as I go along. As you can see, it's already pre-sectioned off into 6 sections. I have 1 on the top, 2 on the sides, 2 more here at the back, which I'll talk about later, and 1 final one for the length underneath the occipital area for the whole length. So you can see all that from the back. And this is where I'm going to be starting. I'll be starting at the sides and I'll talk you through it as we go along. So here we go with my first section. So I'm taking a slightly forward diagonal section, combing it really smoothly and gently, and I'm going to be using my feather blade for this, which is basically like a razor, but it's very gentle. And I'm starting to go shorter around the round of the head, and then sliding the blade really gently, removing some of the middle weight to leave some lengths just in front of the ear. And I follow this pattern all the way through. I'm just going to take forward diagonal sections, comb up really gently, look for my guide, keeping the hair full and good tension all the way through, and then removing the inner weight with my blade, sliding from the shortest section near the parting to longer down towards the jawline. As I progress through, I'm going to be keeping this section pattern all the way through, right through to the back until I get to just behind the ear. And the first section that I come to just behind the ear, I'm going to over direct and bring this forward to my last section in front of the ear, and that becomes my guide for the back section. So then be bringing all of the hair forward and slightly towards the sections in the front. You can see here where I've sectioned off, following the same pattern, and this is a rear view look at the haircut, where I'm just same technique. You can see it really clearly there where I'm taking the hair shorter near the parting, near the round at the top of the head, and then following through and then leaving my section slightly longer. I'm over directing to each previous section, and you can do this depending on how much length you want to leave in the front. If you want to keep it shorter, then you go to this every section, staying on section. If you want to leave it longer towards the back, then you'll over direct further towards the front. This way you get to protect all of the weight and all the shape that you want. So just pulling it forward, nice tension, slide my blade all the way through, keeping a really nice rounded shape on the haircut. And you can see I'm coming to my last section in the front, combing down, checking for weight, taking off all the little ends to get my shape. So now I move on to the top section, and I'm taking the centre section from the crown right through to the forehead, and I'm going to over direct this section, as you can see with my fingers, so that the shorter point is at the front and near the forehead, and I'm cutting from short to long, and the longest will be towards the crown. You can see from this illustration the shape is slightly rounded, shorter towards the forehead and longer towards the crown, and the crown becomes the longest point, and that becomes my connection when I connect the back to the front. And then from there I take this center section, and then I'm going to pivot from that all the way out until I run out of hair, which will leave me with a slight disconnection over the side sections, which I think looks really good as we go through. So just follow this pattern all the way through, taking 1 for 1. So taking the center section, then taking 1 left, 1 right, and then going 1 left, 1 right. And I do that for balance to make sure that I can check it really quickly and see where my balance is after 3 sections, after 5 sections, and so on. So here we go, taking the hair up, combing directly out from the head, forward, over direction, over the forehead. The length can be anything you want it to be. It's entirely up to you. I'm aiming for, with Amy's hair, to be just about the level of the eyebrow, or just the lower part of the forehead. And then cutting my line and following this line through. You You can see I'm over directing, pulling the hair from the crown slightly further forward, and that's where it's going to protect the length at the back, because that becomes my guide where it'll all blend through. Simple little haircut, but just making sure I'm working with good tension, and they're checking my length there, so you know that that's where I'm going to be using that as a guide and a reference point. So just following this all the way through. So I'm just going to follow this section one for one. As you can see, I'm just following it out, using my guide, using my scissors to cut really cleanly, lifting up, and just getting this curvature on the shape. And this is the best way forward. And I've speeded this up a little bit, so you can just follow the process, all the while keeping good tension on the hair as I cut it, keeping all sections really clean, simple to follow, but making sure that I know exactly what I'm doing on each section. So here I'm bringing Amy round face to front, and I'm just doing some cross-checking. As I've done one for one, I can just check that the balance is right, and I've got a slight curve on the top, as illustrated by the comb there. And just over-directing slightly, keeping on section, bringing it forward, making sure that I've kept everything even. And I'm kind of looking for balance, if I'm honest, making sure that I haven't got too many big corners like I have here. I can just take those away to get those to blend. Even though I wanted the disconnection, I wanted to be like, this connection is almost invisible. So it blends really smoothly, as you can see from that side profile. That works out really lovely. So then I'm going to go on to this back section, and this is where I connect. So now I'm using the section in front of the ear as my guide. So that's making sure I'm keeping the length behind the ears and moving into the back area around the occipital line. So nice clean sections. Again, moving slightly forward diagonal, keep my tensions on, making sure I'm bringing these forward, and I'll bring it forward to pretty much a stationary point. But because I'm pulling each subsequent section forward to that point, each one gets progressively longer, and that's where we get to protect the length at the back to make it look a seamless blend. You can note again, I've gone back to my feather blade now, because I'm using over direction, because I want to take a lot of the hair away. Then I'm able to slide my blade through the hair to keep the length that I want to keep. With the scissors, it's a bit more difficult to do, and I prefer to use my blade for this, so I can take the hair that's nearest the parting to be shorter and slide it out to be longer as we move forward. So the blade does its job for me, really. It's a perfect tool for this, and this is when I advocate using the feather blade to build up this type of shape. And back on the other side, and I'm going to repeat the same process, finding my weight, my guideline, working to the same guide, and then keeping that as a static guideline so it doesn't move, and bringing all the hair forward to that particular point to give me this seamless blend. You can see this is where I'm at the crown. Just measure to see how much length I've got the crown to work with. Then I use that little section to blend in and cut in like pretty much from 90 degrees from the head, slightly above 90, probably just to create more layers, and rounding off the shape at the back so that I can really maintain the length as much as I possibly can. And I follow this all the way through just to blend this hair out and to give this connection. You can see that really beautiful head shape now. And with this type of textured hair, you can actually leave it dry naturally if you wanted to, but I will blow dry it and refine it as we go along. So again, back to my blade, and now I'm just feathering this right out. Really exaggerated disconnection, almost cutting like a C shape from where my connected line is, almost cutting out towards myself to maintain all of the length. Not only keeping all the length, but also keeping the weight. It's no good keeping hair long if it's really, really thin and fine and looks really wispy. So I want to keep it an element of thickness and heaviness to that baseline as well, because that's what makes this look really modern and fresh. So here we go with a quick blow dry, just using my Dyson hairdryer and my vest brush, Myers Park vest brush. I love using this, just smooths the hair out really softly. It's got a lovely cushion effect to it. And then I'm going into my refining, using my blade, just refine the edges. You can cut on the skin really with loads of safety and knowledge you're not going to cause any skin damage by using this blade on there. That's how good the safety blade is. And it helps me to sculpt the shape I want, curving around Amy's cheekbone and then following that line round the eye and up to the eyebrow, and just soften it right out with the point of the blade. I try to keep it really loosely in my hand and not holding it too tight, so that I get a lot of feedback from what's happening when the hair is catching in the blade. And so then combing down the length and doing the same thing here, just refining, using the blade to refine my edges, to cut the shape and the curvature that I want to get to complement Amy's face shape. So here we go with the refining, just finishing off the look. As you can see, I'm keeping quite a lot of hair in my fingers, so I'm going to go very deep point cutting to get extra texture really, and take the hair to be lighter and less weighty. So where I have got those heavier areas, I'm just keeping the hair long in my fingers, a lot of hair behind the finger itself, and then cutting right down, give myself lots of depth to cut into to make it lighter, just diffusing the line, but most of all taking away the weight so it isn't so heavy. This just adds texture, and it adds a little bit extra dimension to the haircut. I really love using this technique. You can do it with a razor, but I think personally you have more control when you do it with the scissors and the pointy scissors by doing very deep point cutting. Exactly. Deep point cutting, just to loosen the line, soften the line, and to get some weight. And I really enjoy doing it. Might take on like a modern mullet or the sort of shorter shag, really good extreme shag, but this is more of a modern mullet shape. But look at that weight at the back, keeping the hair just not too thin, not too wispy. And the shape around Amy's face looks absolutely immense. I actually really love it. That softness and that structure. And she looks really cool with it too. So I hope you enjoy this little video. So Amy loved it. I speak to Amy quite often and she still loves it. So that's really, really good. What a fun hairdo. So this is what it looks like in daylight. I've just taken Amy to the front of the salon window so you get better lighting on it so you can see what she exactly looks like. And it just looks lovely. There's minimal effort. Got fantastic head shape and just suits her so much without it being too extreme, but it's still a really cool haircut. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Please click like, subscribe to the channel, send me your comments, see what you would have done differently, or what else would you like me to do. I'm always listening to what people want me to do, and if I can add more, I will. So peace out and have fun.